Zaya Calamera Melancholy Dudu Pepanum,
Kai Charmusabsal.
and today we're going to share to you guys the 12 labors of Hercules.
But before anything else, let's know Heracles first.
The stories of Greek mythology are full of heroes, but none face difficult challenges as Hercules. Hercules or Heracles was the son of Zeus and the mortal princess Alcmena. The god of strength faced in the shadow of an evil curse, cast by Hera, the wife of Zeus. Hercules embarked on a noble quest driven by a burning desire to mend the wounds he inflicted upon his family. He undertook a legendary odyssey, a series of 12 monumental challenges. These tasks were assigned to him by his cousin King Eurystheus, who was guided by the counsel of an oracle. Hercules' journey was nothing short of epic, and each labor brought him closer to redemption.
First was to kill the lion of Nemea, a beast no weapons could wound. That difficulty Hercules solved by choking the life out of him. Then he heaved the huge carcass up on his back and carried it into Mycenae. After that, Eurystheus, a cautious man, would not let him inside the city. He gave him his orders from afar. The second labor was to go to Lerna and kill a creature with 9 heads called Hydra, which lived in a swamp there. This was exceedingly hard to do because one of the heads was immortal and the others almost as bad, inasmuch as when Hercules chopped off one, two grow up instead. However, he was helped by his nephew Iolaus, who brought him a boring gun with which he seared the neck as he cut each head off so that it could not sprout again. When all had been chopped off, he disposed of the one that was immortal by burying it securely under a great rock.
The third labor was to bring back alive a stag with horns of gold, sacred to Artemis, which lived in the forest of Cyrenaica. He could have killed it easily, but to take it alive was another matter, and he hunted it a whole year before he succeeded. The fourth was to capture a great boar which had its lair on Mount Erymanthus. He chased the beast from one place to another until it was exhausted. Then he drove it into a deep snow and dropped it.
The fifth labor was to clean the Augean stables in a single day. Augeas had thousands of cattle, and their stalls had not been cleared out for years. Hercules diverted the courses of 2 rivers and made them flow through the stables in a great flood that washed out the fifth in no time at all. The sixth labor was to drive away the Stympalian birds, which were a plague to the people of Stympalus because of their enormous numbers. He was helped by Athena to drive them out of their coverts, and as they flew up, he shoot them.
The seventh labor was to go to Crete and fetch from the beautiful savage bull that Poseidon had given Minos. Hercules mastered him, put him in a boat, and brought him to Eurystheus. The eighth labor was to get the man-eating mares of King Diomedes of Thebes. Hercules slew Diomedes first, and then drove off the mares on the post.
The ninth labor was to bring back the girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. When Hercules arrived, she met him kindly and told him she would give him the girdle. But here stirred up trouble. She made the Amazons think that Hercules was going to carry off their queen, and they charged down his ship. Hercules, without a thought of how kind Hippolyta had been, without any thought at all, instantly killed her, taking it for granted that she was responsible for the attack. He was able to fight off the others and get away with the girdle. The 10th labor was to bring back the cattle of Geryon, who was a monster with 3 bodies living on Erythea, a western island. On his way, there Hercules reached the land at the end of Mediterranean, and he set up as a memorial of his journey 2 great rocks, called the Pillars of Hercules, now Gibraltar and Shota. Then he got listened and taught them from Mycenae.
The 11th labor was the most difficult of all so far. It was to bring back the golden apples of the Hesperides, and he did not know where they were to be found. Atlas, who bore the vault of heaven upon his shoulders, was the father of the Hesperides. Hercules went to him and asked him to get the apples for him. He offered to take upon himself the burden of the sky while Atlas was away. Atlas, seeing a chance of being relieved forever from his heavy task, gladly agreed. He came back with the apples, but he did not give them to Hercules. He told Hercules he could keep on holding the sky for Atlas himself would take the apples to Eurystheus. On this occasion, Hercules had only his wits to trust to. He had to give all his strength to supporting the mighty load. He was successful, but because of Atlas' stupidity rather than his own cleverness, he agreed to Atlas' plan, but asked him to take the sky back for just a moment so that Hercules could put a pad on his shoulders to ease the pressure. Atlas did so, and Hercules picked the apples and went off. The 12th labor was the worst of all. It took him down to the lower world, and it was then that he fled to Zeus from the chair of forgetfulness. His task was to bring Cerberus, the three-headed dog, from Hades. Hades gave him permission provided Hercules used no weapons to overcome him. He could use his hands only. Even so, he forced the terrible monster to submit to him. He lifted him and carried him all the way up to the earth and onto the Mycenae. Eurystheus very sensibly did not want to keep him and made Hercules carry him back. This was his last labor. When all were completed and full expiation made for the death of his wife and children, he would seem to have earned ease and tranquility for the rest of his life. But it was not so. He was never tranquil and at ease. An exploit a quiet as difficult as most of the labors was the conquest of Antaeus, a giant and mighty wrestler who forced strangers to wrestle with him on condition that if he was victor, he should kill them. He was roofing a temple with the skulls of his victims. As long as he could touch the earth, he was invincible. If thrown to the ground, he sprang up with renewed strength from the contact. Hercules lifted him up and holding him in the air strangled him.
Story after story is told of his adventures. He fought the river god Achilles because Achilles was in love with the girl Hercules now wanted to marry. Like everyone else by this time, Achilles had no desire to fight him and he tried to reason with him. But that never worked with Hercules. It only made him more angry. He said, "My hand is better than my tongue. Let me win fighting and you may win talking." Achilles took the form of a bull and attacked him first. But Hercules was used to subduing bulls. He conquered him and broke off one of his horns. Because of the contest, a young princess named Deianira became his wife.
And that ends the 12 labors of Hercules. Melan Jovi de Panem.
Kai Charmis of Sal, thank you for lending your ears with us.